I hear people say a lot that they don't know what to do during the winter in Michigan when the weather gets all gloomy and cold. So, in today's episode, I'm covering all the things I do during the winter to stay sane, keep warm, keep me energized, and really get the most out of it. So, without further ado, let's get into the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the In Michigan podcast. I am your host, Ryan Redoute, aka That Michigan Guy on Instagram and TikTok, which actually the name now is service marked. Yes, I decided, I was like, you know what, let me just see if this is actually a thing and though it's possible. You know, people when they make their names on social media always put a little trademark symbol, but I know a lot of the times people don't actually have it trademarked or service marked or whatever. So I went ahead and did it just because I feel really empowered in being kind of like that Michigan guy. And I think the service mark gave me that confidence in addition to all the nice people that I've met out and about and who coined the phrase where I would see people out in public. Even I remember this one incident in Vegas. You know, Michiganders, I think a lot of us go to Vegas, maybe Florida, and I've been recognized there. And people, whenever they come up to me, would always say, "Hey, are you that Michigan guy?" And so it kind of coined the phrase for me. And yeah, that's where that kind of name comes from, just because I don't think I've ever covered that in a previous episode of this podcast. But today in Michigan, what's going on today? So it's past the holidays. I've been on break of recording a few episodes, but it's because I'm actually doing things for Michigan. Of course, I'm making more Michigan content to contribute to the Michigan media empire I'm trying to make for everybody so that you always get that relatable content. I think that's why people have told me at least that they like my content a lot. It's because in all of the kind of content you typically get on like an Instagram or a TikTok where it's funny, but it's kind of something that's funny to everybody in like the country, you could say, or like would be seen as comedic. I feel like the content that people of mine that they like the most are the ones where it's very strictly Michigan, which is a lot of it. It's because they feel seen, maybe. I don't know, but let me know in the comments on a video post, or feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram is where I send messages the easiest. And let me know your thoughts and kind of why you like the content. And going into 2024, and that's kind of where we're at in Michigan now. You know, we're going to the new year, winter's passed, the holidays are over. I hope everyone had a lovely time with their families, but I'm really prepping for the new year, and I really want to make my content just that much more impactful. So feel free to shoot me a message with any thoughts you have on things you want to see, things I could do better. You know, I know that with this podcast even, I want to get better equipment. I want it to look more official, but not too official because I like a casual feel with things. So let me know. In our next segment, let's talk about Michiganders say what? What are they saying online? What are they saying in my videos? Because as I've mentioned, the comment section in my videos, I feel like ends up being its own community in itself. And that's kind of what started my whole Michigan journey, and seeing that Michiganders were really passionate about Michigan and the content there. So it motivates me that much more to just keep on keeping on with my content. Our first comment comes from Amy Griffin 550, and it's in relation to a YouTube video, or a video I just made with euchre as kind of like the theme. You'll have to go check it out on my Instagram and TikTok. I think it's one of my best. You know, it's like when I'm editing videos, if I laugh at a video, that's when I know it's going to be a good one. And I laughed a good amount at this one because I'm the actor. You know, I don't typically laugh at everything that I do, you could say. Amy Griffin 5550, they said, I've been in a euchre league and have played many tournaments and play on an app daily. You could say I'm obsessed with euchre. I wanted to specifically mention this comment because I didn't know that there were such things. So if you're somebody out in Michigan that loves euchre as much as Amy Griffin 550 does, you know, either you can join tournaments, you can play on an app daily, you know, you can really get into it. So wanted to make that available to everybody knowledge-wise. The next one comes from Tony Told. I love trying to pronounce the usernames. They said, haha, living in a border town across from Detroit, guessing it's maybe Windsor. I relate to every one of your Michigander posts. And I really want to say, first of all, hello to our Canadian friends, if you're listening. I feel like Windsor is so close to Michigan that I actually know a couple people from Windsor. I was actually just talking to somebody that I ran into that said they were from there. And I know that a lot of Windsor culture, a lot of energy kind of fits into the Michigander vibe, you could say. Just wanted to give a little shout out to for Windsor and everyone listening maybe from there. The last one comes to us from Lisa090877. Whenever it's a long string of numbers, I like saying it that way. But they said it was practically a high school graduation requirement to learn euchre. And I have to say that I did learn it before high school, so I would say that I graduated knowing how to play euchre. I am still surprised at how many Michiganders don't know it, just because like my video that these comments are pulled from has over 500,000 views, or at least it's right up around 500,000 views, and it's only been I think it's been a week, maybe a few days. And so the knowledge is there, like everyone knows it's kind of like this game, but I think maybe just certain people aren't put into situations where they have 4 people that want to play it, or maybe they just don't go up north, and that's kind of like the vibe where I got into knowing it more. But I actually like teaching it. It makes you feel like nice to kind of pass on the knowledge of it. Also, I do want to mention that they said that it was similar to spades, which I think is interesting, and I'm going to look into that too. And I've never played spades, but I want to learn it, and that might be something for any of you euchre players to kind of try out too and see if you like that. Now, going into our main segment for today, I want to talk about all things that you can do in Michigan during the winter. This is something that I feel like is talked about a lot. There's not really specific articles that I've seen come across my desk. And granted, I haven't looked aggressively for them, but I'm sure they're out there. I really wanted to make a video that's kind of all-encompassing of tips and tricks and kind of ideas to kind of get your brain going on what things we can do during the winter when the weather's all gray, it's rainy, it's gloomy here in Michigan. I love Michigan, but let me tell you, the winter time does get to me. The seasonal depression does hit a little bit, and it can be a lot. So these are a couple of things I've done recently / have done in the past that I think are really helping me to get a good schedule of things to do. But jumping in, I would say that indoor concerts are something that I avoided forever. Like, I did not like stadium concerts. I did not like going to big venues where there's big artists, because I feel like people pay $300 to just sit in the nosebleed section and get to see this video screen of the performer, which is not a lot. Like, it's not a great experience to me. I recently went to Doja Cat at Little Caesars Arena, and we got the tickets for a pretty good price because we got them later. Let me tell you, I am like back on the bandwagon for indoor concerts, especially in the wintertime, because it's this big space, like Little Caesars Arena. It's downtown. You kind of get that downtown energy. It's this huge space where you can take off your coat and just kind of like live. Like, you can just enjoy the show and really just enjoy your time there. So indoor concerts, definitely keep on your radar. Maybe search your artist coming up. Maybe try out a new artist. Maybe one that's only like $30 and it's at like the Magic or the Loving Touch in Ferndale, which I know is a smaller venue that brings in, like, I went to go see Hello Goodbye there, and the tickets were only like $30 to $40. So you can check that out. Also, one thing that's like to kind of balance it out of like indoor concerts, obviously you'd have to maybe budget for recharging your batteries at home, period. Like, my husband really puts it into perspective for me where winter can be for hibernating. Like, there's a reason why animals hibernate in the winter. It's obviously part of their like biology, but I think that there's a little bit of a joy to just hibernating, to just relaxing at home, really enjoying your home. And then you can do the most over in summertime if you want. I've been definitely, even as the weather has gotten a bit more gloomy, taking more naps. I am catching up on my shows that I, maybe forgot about or just only got halfway through on Netflix or something. And also, one thing my parents do a lot, and they kind of instilled in me, is house projects. Really trying to say, okay, how do I want my home to look as, when summer hits and we're doing the most and there's no time to really think about it. Maybe paint that wall you've been meaning to, put up that wallpaper, do things like that can kind of make little improvements. Dust the whole house, like from like every corner, like get every single inch of it. And so you can kind of take this time to really focus on the great indoors and just being chill with it and relaxing. Another thing you want to do is maybe go travel though. Maybe you're somebody who wants to have that summer travel experience, but in the wintertime. I feel like one thing that's been on my radar that I really want to do and that I know is possible in Michigan from a place like Copper Harbor is see the Aurora Borealis, the Aurora Lights. And I know that I really want to make my venture up there. It can be kind of scary to me, at least, because I know that the UP in Michigan gets so much more snow, and it can kind of come crazily. Like, I feel like I've had friends who are up in Marquette texting me that they're shoveling snow off their roof, and in Southeast Michigan, it's still like 50 degrees. So I feel like the UP is hard to gauge on like when to go, but I think one of these times I just have to do it, find out when the aurora lights are going to be the strongest, and just head up to the most northern part of the UP and see what I can find, because I really want to see them. So you can be a little bit more adventurous in the winter in that way. Another thing to do is skiing. So we have a couple places. The one I know that most people probably know about is Boyne. I have gone skiing the past couple winters. I think I didn't last year, but I did the few years before. And it really opened up something new for me. I've connected with people who skiing is kind of their go-to thing that they do every weekend. And obviously that costs money, but it's a really good thing, I think, to kind of really enjoy winter. Like, it kind of changed my perspective on winter a bit, because I've always like, oh, everything dies, there's nothing to do. And skiing is one of those things that can only be done in the winter. So I kind of grew an appreciation for it, and it was a lot of fun. I'll be honest, I did it. I tried it without doing any training, which was really risky. Don't recommend. But I am used to doing things like wakeboarding or water skiing and rollerblading, which kind of use similar muscles and similar kind of similar motion. And I have to say that it worked out great. I was able to do a blue level hill my first time doing it. I think I'll stick to greens now. Did not do a black diamond or anything like that. So I really grew an appreciation for skiing. Other things I would recommend doing are just hot things like hot yoga, maybe going to a sauna, dancing, things that kind of like get your energy going, that also deals with fitness. Obviously, in the wintertime, I think it's just nice to work out all the time, because you're going to a place, again, you can take your coat off, you get going, your body warms up. And I have to say that during the winter, I get really cold just around the house and just in general. But when I go to the gym and I start running and my body gets kind of heated up, that's the only time I really feel like truly warm, outside of like doing hot yoga or sauna or something like that. But I've definitely incorporated these things into my schedule and just my go-to way of living, I guess, throughout the winter to stay sane, which has been really great. I also want to say that preparing for your summer travels is a great thing to do during the winter. It kind of can keep you excited. I'm somebody who loves anticipation, so planning a few trips in the summer. That way, once like May hits, you're not saying, oh, what am I going to do this summer? You already kind of have your planned out agenda. You already know that you're going for a weekend in Saugatuck, and then you're maybe spending 4th of July in Frankfort, Michigan, and that maybe you're trekking out to Quamanon Falls in August. Like, you already have these things planned out. Highly recommend doing that. One of my friends is really good about planning ahead, and he had his whole schedule booked out this past summer, and I didn't have really much at all. And granted, I have a few things that I know I do, but I have to say that being a little bit more planning in the wintertime when you're just sitting at home can really help you, I think, just get the most out of your summer. And obviously, you don't have to go too crazy, putting some relaxing in there. But we only really have like 13 true weekends this summer. That's very specific dates that you can plan something around. Lastly, one thing that you can really do in the winter to spice things up is join a club or organization. Join a sports league, intramural sports. Just look it up on Google for ones in Detroit or Grand Rapids or any city that you're in. And if there's not one, form it yourself. I'm sure every town has some kind of gymnasium to start things up. And that's really helped me get through, because you get to see people, you get to be doing something, you have to be somewhere, and it kind of gets you through those dark winter days where it gets, dark at 6 p.m. or something like that, and you got the whole night to kind of do something. It's nice going to a place that's warm, inviting, and just as something new to try out. I've mentioned in the past that I've been in a choir with the Prism Chorus, and it's been a lot of fun. This past season, I just did the dancing and the singing, and during the colder months, it was great because it was raining outside. You can't do much. You can just go and see a bunch of friendly faces and really just I don't know. It's hard to explain, but just the community is definitely the biggest part I think that comes out of doing things like intramural sports or joining a choir or things like that. So really get on the bandwagon of doing that. And to be honest, people are always like, how do you make how do you make friends as adults? Joining clubs and organizations is exactly the way to do that. That's what you did back in school, right? You were in student council or you did track and you end up meeting a friend. Like, you have to do these things. You have to put yourself out there if you want to be making connections in real life. That's definitely my list of things you can be doing in wintertime in Michigan to kind of stay sane and be living life to the fullest, I guess you could say. And other than that, I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you all, Mish, again.